Hey, today I'm going to be tying a fly I call the Bubba Gump. It's basically a modified crease fly. Of course, look like a shrimp. Got flash, a little bit of bucktail, a couple collars and foam, and a rattle in the body. So, that's what a completed one looks like. I went a little overboard on this one. You don't have to put eyes on them. This is more of a display one, so it's got eyes and full-blown arts and crafts and glitter and the whole 9 yards, but you don't have to quite get that involved in it. So, let's get started. Here's one before the arts and crafts. You can see the foam and the hood. This one doesn't have a rattle in it. Most of them that I tied do. This one is ready for the arts and crafts. So, Sharpies and a little bit of clear coat with some glitter in it, and however you want to do it up. For a nice sturdy, I believe this is a 3/0 saltwater hook in the vise. Nice and secure. Nice and secure. Just using regular old ultra thread, 140 denier. Use tan or black, or you can use white. You're going to end up coloring it anyway. Lay down a nice thread base. I'll get something to glue the foam to later. Lay down that thread base all the way back to about the start of the bend of the hook, halfway between the point and the barb, somewhere along in there. Okay, seen me do it before. Like pretty much for all intents and purposes, a 2-turn whip finish. Anytime I'm tying in bucktail or foam, I like to do that to keep the bucktail from rolling around. Another thing that does is, I've seen it so many times, especially when I was teaching classes, and a lot of beginners will get to this point and they'll take that tension off the thread. Well, got that 2-turn whip finish in there, it'll maintain the tension on the thread too. That's what I mean, it's a stopping point. Go get a cup of coffee, you come back and pick it up, your tension's still on those wraps. You're not going to lose your tension. Okay, I'll start out with a little bit of bucktail. I got this old ginger brown. Take you some from this part of the tail. This is more hollow and it wants to flare out more. So save the part of your bucktails for your musky flies, your Bufords and stuff like that you want the bucktail to actually flare. We don't want this bucktail to flare too much, so if your clousers and stuff like that, take it from like middle to the tip of the tail somewhere. It's a decent clump, ain't gonna go crazy, we just want that illusion. You can see in the original, there's hardly any in there at all, really, this bucktail right here. And that's all collar and hackle. Go get your bucktail, pull your shorts out. Funny, they don't tell you this too much, you won't hear it too often. But those shorts, and it'll happen, those little short ones sometimes are, for some reason, they'll actually cut your thread. You don't remove those shorts. I think I got actually a little too much in there. Take a little bit of that out. Oop. Bumping the camera don't help. Take some of that out. Man, it looks pretty good. I don't want it too terribly long. Maybe, yeah. Say a hook shank's length poking out. That pinch your bucktail. Here you kind of want to keep your bucktail on top. That'll give you more of a flat surface on the sides to glue your foam to later. I was initially leery of crease flies and foam body flies that just relied on an epoxy or a super glue to hold the foam onto the hook. I kind of like that mechanical fastening, but I come to find out that it actually works pretty good. So hold it at a 45 and clip it. Cover that up. Right back down to your bucktail. Tying in flash neck, so I don't really have to worry too much about the two-turn whip finish. And I'm going to use one strand of pink. And here's the thing. See, so many people doing funny stuff with their flash. You leave this crystal flash in the package. Leave it just like that. Grab one of the ends and pull it out. It'll come right out of the package. You ain't got to clip it off the hank or anything. You got a full strand there. It's no biggie. I'm gonna use a strand of fluorescent fire orange here. You can mix it up, some brown, some gold, whatever trips your trigger. Around the ends. And I'm gonna use one more strand of, got some gold. Same thing. You pull it straight out of the package. Don't pull the whole hank out of the package. Just grab you an end and pull it out. Here we go. I'm gonna take your flash. I'll double it over. Get the ends pretty close to being aligned there. That's pretty good. Even the loops up at this end that I'm going to clip through. Yeah, let's see if we double roll one more time. I don't know if I want to. I'll just leave them alone and trim them. Okay. Your flash goes on there. Few turns. Wrap up on it. Critical how many, like I say, I left it long. Ow! So I'm going to trim it. You love when you poke your thumb with the point of the hook. Taking my flash to that far side and coming back down on it. Pull my flash out. Pull all my flash out. I'll cut that about as long as the bucktail, maybe just a little longer than your bucktail. Pardon me. And you can see I got it just a little longer in the bucktail, a little more flash than I do in my display one. Maybe about the same amount. Now you got the antenna flash, which I like to use black. Grab one strand out of the package and just pull it straight out. No fooling around. clipping it off a hank or anything like that. Align your ends. Clip it. These, instead of the antenna, and always antenna on shrimp, are a little longer. I know it's not critical, but see if I can do this without poking myself this time. I'll tie these right on top, and they're going to end up being nice and long. So we'll flash back over and keep it on top and tie right back over it. That's my antenna. Kind of hard to see there. It's that black backdrop, but my antennas. Antennae, however you pronounce that. There's a 2-turn whip finish. Tying some collar and hackle next, and just hold that place, or you hold it right there. Now I'm using Nature's Spirit golden collar and hackle. I'm a grizzly barred color. Barred grizzly. Pull one feather out of the pack. I'll get all these fluffies off of there. I'll get all of them off, but enough of them are exposed to hook. Alright, grab the tip. Bring me them feathers back. Expose the tip. Tie that right on. You need to trim it like see a lot of guys doing. I don't necessarily worry about that. Okay, here's a little trick I learned from watching steelhead flyers, tires out west and stuff use. We'll actually take your scissors and ride it. You can feel it when it catches. It helps fold them fibers back. You're wrapping this almost like you would a wet fly hackle or a collar on a deer hair bass bug. Breed them back a little bit. Help them stay back. And we're going to do a collar. Tie that off. Tie it down good. Sometimes when you're trimming your thread and you got hackle hang, don't trim it like this. You're liable to cut your thread. Especially if you got a rotary vise. I mean, if you don't, well, I guess you just be real careful. You can roll it over and trim your feather. Your thread's down here and you're trimming up top. You have less of a chance of cutting your thread. Roll it back over. Man, I don't really. Sometimes you can roll back on that collar a little bit, but I don't think this is really necessary. It laid down pretty good. And not real necessary. Sometimes I'll use the India hen back. Sometimes I'll use a saddle feather. Today I'm using just a of a streamer pack, saddle feather. Do the same thing, bring the feathers back. Bring the barbs back. Tie in that tip. I can trim that one. I'm not too close to the eye of the hook for my likings. Tie that tip down good. I probably should have pulled some of these where I want to tie it on off before I did this, but I'll do it now. Make a mess on the bench. Okay, same thing I showed you a minute ago. Those steel head tires will take the scissors, take the edge of the scissors, and ride along them barbs. You'll feel it when it catches it. It'll look like riding over little ridges, you're riding over the barbs. That'll actually help fold all them barbs back. Okay, so we can't do this with the thread in the way. Tell you what, let's get the thread out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rolling thread on up out of the way. 6 turns. I know I can unwrap 6 turns and I'll be back right where I was. So. I'm getting a heck of a color on this thing. That's enough. 5, 6 unwraps. Get me back to where I started. Fix that feather in. We're going to trim her off. Roll it up so I don't get in the thread. Get rid of all those wild hairs. Like me after I ain't shaved for a while. Enough. One more there I don't like. That matters. Like I said, I don't think the fish care. Roll back over on that just to help it fall back a little bit. That's pretty much done with the front end, or the back end of the fly. Be the front end of the shrimp. Shrimp swim backwards. Shrimp and crawdads. You can't even hardly see that collar and hackle. But it's in there. Okay. Comes the fun part. I'll go ahead and do a quick whip finish and trim my thread. Ain't so much worried about a 5 or 6 turn whip finish. I'm going to be putting super glue on all these threads to glue on the body, so that'll help hold it all. Okay. Now, I do like to put a rattle in mine. I use these DOA glass rattles. These are smalls. When I came up with this fly, I wanted the kind of the idea of a popping cork. People, bait fishermen down the coast will use a popping cork. Big old bobber with a glass bead and a couple stops that it hits and rattles against. And I always wondered about that one day. I was out with a guy down at McClellanville, down south of Georgetown, and there were redfish in the grass up at high tide tailing. And I seen they come across a colony of shrimp, and those shrimp came up out of that grass up on the surface, tail walking, and they clicked. Just like that doggone, it surprised the hell out of me. I mean, I'm not really that much of a saltwater fisherman, but saltwater fly fisherman. They came out clicking just like that doggone popping cork makes when the guys pop the popping cork. But I'm gonna go ahead and put a little dab of glue on top. This will help give me something to wrap my body around later too. I like using the brush and nozzle Gorilla Glue. And I'll just position that bead on there and let her sit a few minutes. It'll be a little big. But we'll work with it. And I said there's a modified crease fly. The crease flies normally, your body would look something like this. Not a real pretty one, but you know. It's always about twice the gap of the hook. And you would be folding it over and putting it on like this. You can do the same thing with a crease fly, although on a crease fly normally I tie in, if I'm going to put a rattle in my crease fly, I'll tie my crease fly first, glue on the body, and let it set, and then I'll glue in my rattle, a little bit of super glue with the brush inside the body of the crease fly, and then slip that rattle in there and tap it in with the end of a pin or the end of your bodkin, whatever, you know. Tap that rattle into the body. Well, on these, body looks a little different. Some more, still about twice the gap of the hook. I like it about, you can see where I got that notch in it. Right about where the collar is going to be. It's about, you know, the point of the hook, maybe just a little past the point of the hook that way, compared to the body, compared to the eye of the hook and everything else. Okay, I think we're about ready. That's set. Let's see if it's set. It's setting good enough. I do believe it ain't gonna fall off. Well, just like a crease fly. Like a little bit of super glue. Put it on the sides. Might put a little bit on that rattle. It always make it a little bit that much more secure. Like I said, I didn't trust these type of flies at first. Still moving a little bit on me. Take my body, fold it over everything, and typically, even on my crease flies, I have a problem even on my trout flies of crowding the eye of the hook. I'd rather leave it about like that. No, these don't try to get it to the sides too much. You want it more underneath where you want it to hold well. Hold. You don't want that flat profile, you more want that round profile. Of course, we got that rattle in there. It's going to help you maintain that round body profile. Looking pretty good. I'm a little crazy with my collar. That glue setting up good. It's all gonna be holding pretty well. Alright, I'll come back with my thread again. And that helps to do that upside down. Right in that notch. Now we ain't really trying to compress it like we would a stealth bomber or any of the trout flies that you would normally compress the foam. You want a little compression because this is what gives you that body definition. I'll have to take this thread and wrap it around my main thread since I can't really do a jam knot. It doesn't matter. Later on I'm going to be putting good clear finish on all this. So get that thread secure. Trim her off. At this point we're going to, oops, sorry about that. Come back and I'll make my body segments. Like I said, you want to compress it a little, but you don't want to go nuts on it. Come up, another body segment. Maybe a little bit of pinch on this. And then another body segment. One more body segment. And this last one, don't pinch too hard. You'll especially here, because you'll close up that nose you got on there for popping. Got that end over there, you want it for popping. Come up in and then like you do me a regular old whip finish. Right there. Probably could have pinched some segments a little tighter, but we ain't worried about it. So basically, that is your Bubba Gump. Body kind of where you want it. Probably should have tied onto my collar a little more to make it face more that way. Doesn't really matter. Now all that's left to do pretty much here is all your arts and crafts. Now it's all up to you. Normally I've got spent a fortune on Sharpies. I'll use Sharpies. You can glue on eyes like on the original. Pretty sure after a few fish, those eyes are going to be gone and it don't matter. I don't believe shrimp have eyes like that anyway. Oh, normally, because our Carolina shrimp, our white shrimp, are normally, they'll be a little dark, a little bit brown up in this part of the body, up around the head. And the back end will be a little bit, more of a tan color. So I'll like put a little bit of orange and wipe it off. Maybe a little bit of brown and wipe most of it off. Don't want to go crazy with everything. And then you start clear coating. Now you can use UV. I don't like the weight of the UV adds to it, and it tends to try to sink the fly. Now this is not really a high floating popper. It sits down in the surface film somewhat. You can't really expect it to sit high and ride high, but you get a better hookup ratio anyway if it's riding down low. So you'll do all your Sharpies, whatever you're going to do. I'll put a clear coat on. I went to Walmart, the craft store. Got me some more this old glitter. So I'll put a clear coat and I'll sprinkle some glitter on there and let my clear coat set up and do another clear coat. Now the clear coat I use is pretty much Sally Hansen's. I like the base and top coat. That's what I'll use for my clear coat. You can do them all different sizes. There's a smaller one on a smaller hook. Head's pretty much still the same, but everything's scaled down somewhat. There's one like this size. I bet the head a little bigger. Not as many body segments, and there's no rattle. But there's no rattle, but I've got the popping end a little bigger, so it makes a little bit more of a good pop on the surface when you're popping it, like a popping cork. Just no rattle in that one. So that's pretty much the Bubba Gump. Take it and fish it down to the surface and go catch you a redfish. Y'all be good now.